what you do for me.
Is everyone's phones off before we do this, yeah?
So yeah, we started 231 in 2011, wasn't it? And then we it was an after party which we set up, and the genius of it was Lee's idea that it started at 2:31 in the morning. We wanted to do something different, what wasn't being done in the city at the time. I'd say, we wanted to bring bigger artists on a consistent basis rather than every now and then. So we started it in, when was it, November?
Yeah, it was November, third week in November.
Third week in November of 2011. And then it was weird because there was this event in here called Zombie Prom, and it was on till 2 in the morning. And what we had to do was we had to quickly get in here. When that finished at 2, we had to get all these people and just throw them out the building. But you would get this group of 30 indie kids, and they would kind of just stay and just, I don't know whether they hid behind the doors or whatever, but they would stay. And it was what started off for us, I'd say, having a diverse crowd.
Yeah, you'd have a real mix of people.
We had these indie kids who were they looked like they just rolled out a cow, vintage, and they looked really they was quite colourful people, to say the least, their fashion sense. And then we had our kind of people, and then there was people from there and there and there, and it just created this diverse crowd, and I think that's really what made 231 stand out. And then
everybody was here for the vibe as well, more than anything, which was what was important to us at the time. We really wanted to create something that all people from all walks of life could come and enjoy, really.
We booked Kissy Sellout as the first big artist we booked. He was mad. He'd had 6 CDJs on his rider, and just, the way he was playing, and I think about 250 people probably turned up. We'd just been going for 3 weeks, and we booked Kissy Sellout. And I remember I walked him out the building, and he said to me, if you ever want me to come back here, I'll come. And this guy's only played to 200 people.
He used to do massive shows as well, isn't he? He does shows all over the world.
And he's played to 200 people in a little garden through there. And that's when we knew there was something unique about it. We had this vibe which you just couldn't get. And then the second one was Red Light, and I'd say that was the boom. That was when it just blew up. We booked Red Light. I think about 500 people turned up for that one. This was, how long after was that?
That was about 6 weeks after. We had a queue back to the end of the road for that one. That was the real turning point for us back then.
Yeah, that just kind of elevated us to okay, it's working now, And then from then onwards, as Andy said, it was mental. There'd be a queue every week. We didn't even start till half 2 in the morning, and there was this queue down the road, rain, snow. Remember how cold it used to be in there?
Yeah.
We used to have these old heaters. They're like these industrial blow heaters. They stunk of horse shit. They stung your eyes. And people would still come because they were coming for the music. They wasn't coming for to be wine and dine. They wasn't coming for a red carpet affair. It was strictly music underground. And that was a big point which we wanted to get across, and our vision was, this is what 231 is.
That really was our aim, wasn't it, from day one, just to create that,
You're coming out for the music, and I think that worked. So we continued to do 231 throughout the year. And I remember one of the doormen saying, I think he said to me and you actually, he said, you guys could literally open the warehouse every single week and you'd fill it. And we said, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to take away the core of the party. We don't want to overkill it. We don't want to rinse our own brand out. So we stuck to what it was, and again, it was a queue down the road with no ego attached every week, just to fill a little garden which was there.
We wanted to keep the exclusivity of it all as well, really. With we were turning at one point, towards the start, 150 people plus every week, on that weekly basis. And, that created more hype for us as well, didn't it? It was people that couldn't come, they were getting here literally for 2:30, and then the queue would start forming at 2 because everybody knew what time to get here for. And the brand did really work for us in that manner.
Yeah. That definitely, I remember we would shut the till, the door would be open for an hour, would be full, and the till was shut, and our phones would be blowing up, and it was get me in, can you come down and get me in? I'm like, the door's shut. He's like, what, you've been open an hour?
Yeah.
It was just crazy how it took off. And then I'd say the next, for me, the big turning point was when we celebrated our first birthday.
Yeah.
I remember walking in that office, and at the time, Bobby, who runs Bigger Than Barry, was helping us. We would get a shopping list of DJs together, me and Andy, and we'd take it to Bobby, and he would kind of liaise with the agents and help us put together a show. And he said, I've got Subtract. Do you want him? And I was like, well, he's amazing, but I don't know if people will get Subtrap, because I think I was probably playing his Sanford tune. That was it. It was quite alternative-y, dubsteppy, you know, quite alternative to what we play. And it kind of convinced me, you know, let's just do it, you know, grow a set, let's just go out there and we do it. And we put that event out, and it just sold out in 2 weeks, didn't it? We sat in the Bull's Head in Moseley. It was me, you and Lee. It was on the computer. And we put the event up and was refreshing. The tickets was just like 90, sold in like, it was about 2 minutes or something. It just went bang. And the tickets were just sell. And then that night was unreal. We had One Man, Triple XY.
Clean Bandit.
Clean Bandit live.
It was sort of like putting our toe in the water, so to speak, with testing that more diverse sound. And it was also the first time we opened at 10:30, wasn't it? Rather than the usual opening time of 2:31. We had the full warehouse and garden open. And it was the first time that we really tried that, which is where 10:31 was born, wasn't it? So we've done a monthly event from that point onwards, opening at 10:30 and putting on, you know, huge shows for the city.
I think who was the first? We had Scream and Red Light, and they headlined the first one for us. And you know, again, that sold out, brilliant party. And then we booked Disclosure, and that was just, again, another turning point of wow. It was like we sold out within 3 days, wasn't it?
Just under 3
days.
Just
sold out every allocated ticket, 3 days sold out, and it was just like they played. It was amazing, and since then we've kept 10:31. So I think it's, you know, this little after party which we started just in that garden has just grew and expanded and developed. And you know, not only in the club world, we've developed a good relationship with Rinse FM, who've give us, you know, our own radio show. I do that with Cause and Effect, and then we have guests come down from 2:31. So that's, you know, created a link for us there. And then like we've got Fabric Nightclub, who we've become like residents down there. We're doing monthlies, bi-monthlies and whatnot. So, you know, everything's just started and stemmed from that little party which we started with 200 people, and it's, you know, we get well over 1,500 people in pretty much every time we do a 10:31. So to watch something organically grow from a small party of friends and just, you know, randomers almost, has developed into what we've got today. I think the Rainbow as a whole, it offers something totally unique. You know, it is a Function One sound system in an underground venue. It's
evolved with our party as well, hasn't it? From day one, since when we started, the venue as a whole has really evolved, and many of the other nights that come in here and do shows as well have as well with it. So it's been really good to watch from the start. You know, and also going back to what you were saying about the tours with Fabric and stuff, we're trying out something in France. Which is coming up in April, where we're taking our DJs over there and working with these French promoters. So it's good for us to expand, you know, really out of the city.
I think it's been a platform for many people. I mean, one of our first original residents was Hannah Wants, and she's currently touring Australia. She's touring America. You know, she's someone who used this as a platform. Don't get me wrong, she was DJing for years before. Same with Cause and Effect, same with myself, same with Pete Graham as well. Everyone used this platform which we made here to play with big artists, not just, you know, your locals.
And take their DJing careers further.
It's just blew up for everyone. Like the sound, I think, again, the sound is so important because we've never just played one specific genre. And it was like we were playing like house, deep house, there was techno in there, bits of, you know, bass line, so to speak. And rather than writing this massive list of genres on a flyer, we just stuck on there house and bass. And then it was just mad. Everyone was like, oh, this new genre, it's house and bass music. It was like, well, it's just an umbrella term because
for the music we
haven't got the room on a flyer to write every bit of music we play. We've always been, you know, open. We've never been into that EDM big room sound, so we've always stayed well clear of that. And then at the time, the dubstep was a bit more leaning towards the Skrillex kind of like mid-range sound. We didn't like that, so we pushed them two away, and it was just a mashup, really, wasn't it? Of
anything goes.
Say like between 120 and 135 BPM in that bracket. And again, I'd get people messaging me going, "Oh, he's a new house and bass tune I've made. He's a house and bass mix." And I was like, "Wow, people actually, you know, they've taken this on board, and they're thinking that, you know, it's nice that we've started something again in that little room there, and it's where we are today." I reckon that's pretty much a cut.